أهلا بكم مشاهدي العربية.
Dear viewers of Al Arabiya channel, we would like to greet you from the capital of the Republic of Azerbaijan, the beautiful city of Baku. Today, I will have the honor of conducting a special interview with the President of Azerbaijan, Ilham Aliyev. Of course, this meeting comes in the period following the agreement signed between Armenia and Azerbaijan with the support of US President Donald Trump. Today, we are living through those historic days, and we will discuss this very issue. At the same time, we will also talk about Azerbaijan's role between East and West. Likewise, we will discuss Azerbaijan's role in the South Caucasus. Mr. President, welcome to Al Arabiya channel.
إلى هذه المقابلة على قناة العربية.
Very good to see you. Welcome to Azerbaijan.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. With your permission, I would now like to refer to that historic agreement signed between Armenia and Azerbaijan through the mediation efforts of Donald Trump. I would like to know your vision in general and how long will it go after all?
Well, I think what happened in Washington on the 8th of August is actually the end of confrontation and end of standoff. We've been for a long time at war with Armenia. It was Armenia which occupied Azerbaijani territory since the beginning of the 90s. And at that time, Azerbaijan was very weak. We didn't have army. And Armenia had external supporters who supported them in occupation of Azerbaijani territories. So almost 20% of our territories were occupied by them, and we had 1 million refugees. So at that time, it was one of the highest ratio per capita. Population of Azerbaijan was 8 million, so 1 million were homeless. The first Karabakh war ended in 1994 by ceasefire, and we were engaged in the series of endless and, as we've seen, useless negotiations, which lasted until 2020, when the Second Karabakh war started and we liberated our internationally recognized territories. Almost 5 years ago, during the 44 years liberation war, Azerbaijan restored justice, international law, and its dignity, and returned our lands. So after that, there was a certain vacuum in the process because at that time mediators didn't know what they should do next. And it was again Azerbaijan which offered to start a peace process with Armenia. Again, we initiated the format of negotiations. We introduced the draft of peace agreement. And actually, what was initialed in Washington on 8th of August was based on Azerbaijani version of how we see interstate relations between Armenia and Azerbaijan should be framed. So negotiation lasted, as I said, for several years and ended in Washington with great support from President Trump and his team. So actually, I think that this is the end of conflict, end of war. Formally, the peace agreement was not signed for one particular reason, that there is still provision in Armenian constitution which puts under doubt Azerbaijan's territorial integrity. So they will make amendment, as far as we understand, and as soon as this amendment to constitution is done and territorial claims to Azerbaijan are deducted from the constitution, the formal peace agreement will be signed. But the fact that Azerbaijan and Armenia in White House, in front of President Trump, initialed this document means that it's the end of war which lasted in stages for more than 30 years. And it opens absolutely new opportunities for the region of South Caucasus and for a broader region of Central Asia and Middle East.
فخامة الرئيس، بما أنك تتحدث عن التعديل بالمؤسسات الدستورية داخل
Mr. President, you noted the amendment to the Armenian constitution, and now, when we talk about the peace, is there any internal political change? If it happens in Armenia, will it harm the process?
الرئيس وغيره.
It's difficult to say. I can only guess. I hope that nothing will interfere into the process. But again, I don't have 100% guarantees because I'm not well aware about the internal politics of Armenia. We know that next summer they will have a parliamentary elections. We know that they're working on the draft of new constitution. But if there is a strong external interference, yes, we may think that something can break what has been agreed, but that will be very harmful for Armenia itself, because no matter who signed the documents in Washington, they were signed on behalf of Armenia by Armenian leader. And if something happens there with respect to the changes, and they will step back from what has been signed, that will seriously deteriorate relations between Armenia and United States, and not only United States, but international community supported this process. European Union supported, Turkey supported, our friends in Arab countries supported. So the whole international community were positive with respect to that. So breaking this arrangement means to go against the entire world and what they will earn. For Armenia, what was signed in Washington is a guarantee for peace and for stable development. I spoke a little bit about the First Karabakh War, but you know, in order to illustrate what happened to us, probably we will need days and months. There was an ethnic cleansing, there was a Khojaly genocide, innocent people were killed. We still have more than 3,000 people missing. And there was a strong emotional feelings here in Azerbaijan. Even when the war of 2020 ended with our victory, still there were people in Azerbaijan who demanded revenge. But I told at that time when I addressed the people that we took revenge on the battlefield. We will not do to them what they've done to us, because what they've done to us were war crimes. So what I'm trying to say is that if any future government of Armenia, no matter when this government or if it comes to power, will put under doubt what has been signed in Washington, then Armenia will face serious complications. Because the balance of powers in the region is absolutely in our favor from all points of view. I think it's obvious to everyone. And if Armenia would again put under doubt our territorial integrity, we will respond adequately. The importance of what has been signed in Washington is that both sides recognize territorial integrity of each other and will plan their future interaction based on these fundamental thesis of international law. So if they stop recognizing our territorial integrity, we will do the same with their territorial integrity, and who will win and who will lose, I think it's a rhetoric question. So I think that there'll be enough wisdom and reasonable approach from any future Armenian government not to put under doubt what we agreed in Washington. And again, it's agreement between two states. It's not agreement between Pashinyan and myself.
شو. سيد الرئيس، بما أنك تتحدث عن يعني ضرورة أن يبقى هذا.
Mr. President, as you have noted, the understanding should stay stable in the future. And there were a lot of tragedies in Nagorno-Karabakh. How you have started the reconstruction? Because we would like to know the IDPs, both Armenian and Azerbaijani. And in addition to that, did the Minsk group end by this signing?
Yes, dissolution of the Minsk group was one of the conditions which Azerbaijan put forward in the very first stages of negotiations, and our logic was based on the fact that when Minsk group was created by OSCE in 1992, it was created to address the Karabakh conflict. So when Armenia officially recognizes Karabakh as part of Azerbaijan, and when they say that the conflict is over, that means that the legal existence of Minsk group is absurd. And if they insist on keeping it alive, that means that they still have territorial claims to Karabakh. So that was the logic which was the basis for our position. And it took us a lot of time and effort to persuade Armenia to agree that both sides should write a letter to OSCE in order to dissolve the Minsk group, what happened in the presence of President Trump. So now the process has started, and that will be the legal death of Minsk group, because it's already dysfunctional for almost 5 years. With respect to IDPs, during the First Karabakh War, there have been no Armenian IDPs, because Azerbaijan did not occupy territory of Armenia. They occupied our territory. That's why we had so many refugees and IDPs which lived in difficult conditions during these years. We introduced the program of the resettlement even during the times of occupation, because absolute majority of them lived in tent camps for more than a decade. So we started to abolish tent camps as soon as I became president, and we finished that process in 2007. But still, tens of thousands of them lived in very poor conditions. So now the process of return, based on the program which is called the Program of Great Return, have started. And we already settled more than 50,000 of former IDPs in the liberated territories. And the process is continuing. There have been two major impediments. First, landmines. Armenians have planted more than 1 million landmines during the times of occupation. And after the Second Karabakh War ended in November 2020 until today, we have almost 400 casualties, more than 70 killed, and the rest severely injured because of the landmines. So these landmines do not allow us to have a broad, large-scale reconstruction process, because we need first to provide safety. And second, there was a total destruction of infrastructure in Karabakh. Our cities and villages were leveled to ground. Sanitation, water supply, electricity, railroads, highways, all was totally ruined. So we spent most of our money in these first years of reconstruction to build infrastructure, and in parallel to build villages and cities. So now we are almost in the final stage of infrastructural development. I think the full infrastructure projects will be ready maybe in 2-3 years. And now we spend more money for housing projects. So it's now visible, like buildings are coming from the middle of nowhere. And our plan is to provide decent housing conditions, jobs for all the former IDPs, and the process has started. As I said, more than 50,000 already live on their ancestral lands.
Mr. President, one of the main issues arising from the agreement was to make Azerbaijani dream come true. What we talk about it is the dream of Zangezur corridor that come true. or what we call Trump route. Why Trump route has come to the table? In addition to that, which stage will this Trump route promise for Azerbaijan to undergo? Of course, this corridor will play an important strategic role between Azerbaijan and Europe.
In order to answer this question, I should go into a little bit of history and just to explain the people who watch us how it happened that Azerbaijan is divided in two. So it was done in the first months of Sovietization of Azerbaijan. When Russian Empire collapsed in 1917, Azerbaijan established Azerbaijan Democratic Republic. It was the first democratic republic in the Muslim world, which was established in May 1918. And it lived until April 1920, when Russian army invaded Azerbaijan and occupied it. The Bolsheviks, which made a revolution in 1917, they lied to people because their slogans were factories to workers, land to farmers, freedom to peoples. And that's how Azerbaijani people became free. We established our own state. But Bolsheviks took it from us. So in April 1920, Russian army invaded Azerbaijan and occupied it. In November 1920, just several months after that, Soviet Russian government decided to take Zangezur, we call it Western Zangezur, from Azerbaijan and to give it to Armenia. And that's how Azerbaijan became divided in two, mainland and Nakhchivan. And Western Zangezur was just in between. During the Soviet times, it was not a problem because there were no borders and there was no wars. So people could go freely by cars or by railroad from mainland to Nakhchivan. But after Armenia launched aggression against Azerbaijan, they cut that connection line, they cut the corridor. And today, in order to get to Nakhchivan, we have either to fly there or to go by buses or by cars through the territory of Iran, or even longer route to go through the territory of Georgia, Turkey, and then enter Nakhchivan. So it's a lot of inconvenience and a lot of problems. So after Second Karabakh War ended with our victory, we could have taken that part by force. At that time, Armenian army was totally demoralized. There have been 12,000 deserters, people who ran from war, in Armenian army, and 0 in Azerbaijani army. Azerbaijani army was motivated, people were motivated, and there was no one in front of us. We just stopped on the 10th of November 2020 on our border. We didn't take that part by force, but we told Armenia that they cannot block us from communications with Nakhchivan. So for almost 5 years, we've been negotiating with them about these connectivity lines. In the meantime, we started to build railroad towards Armenian border to connect it with Nakhchivan, and started to build highways. Highway project probably will be ready next year, as well as a railroad. But during this almost 5 years of negotiations, Armenia was not demonstrating constructive approach with respect to our demands or legitimate requests. So when President Trump and his team started to be involved in the process and wanted to facilitate, so our message to them was, without Zangezur corridor being operational and being safe so that Azerbaijani citizens can go safely this 40+ kilometers route, there must be strong security guarantees. There must be international security guarantees. So only security guarantees from Armenia will not be enough. So Trump's administration accepted this legitimate concern with a proper attitude, and that's how it turned into TRIP, Trump Route for International Peace and Prosperity. So now when President Trump gave his name to Zangezur corridor, I'm sure that it will materialize very soon. From point of building the physical infrastructure, I mean the railroad, it should not take a long time because it's only 42 kilometers. If we were to build it, we would have done it in 1 year. Maybe for Armenia, it will need some more years because we have more experience in building railroads.
By American investors?
It is not yet decided, but yes, it is possible to be done by American investors. Actually, for us, it doesn't matter. For us, important is that it is built, and important is that there is international security guarantees. In other words, when Azerbaijanis travel from Nakhchivan to mainland and backwards, they should not feel discomfort. They should not be afraid of their security, taking into account the long-lasting standoff and the hostility. So now I think it is very close to be implemented, and it's now for Armenia to do their part of the job. As far as we're concerned, again, I'd like to say that all infrastructure to connect two parts of Azerbaijan on our territory is now being implemented. But it's not only about connection to parts of Azerbaijan, it's about building a new transportation line. Today, the middle corridor, one of its branches, which goes across the Caspian from Asia, goes from Azerbaijan to Georgia, to Turkey, and then to Europe, and also to Georgian seaports. This is the only way how to connect Asia with Europe through Azerbaijan. So Zangezur corridor or TRIP will give alternative. So the second corridor will go through the territory of Armenia. And this is a benefit to Armenia. And I was trying to deliver this message to my Armenian colleagues that they will eventually become a transit country. Every country, if has a potential, tries to become a transit country.
Yeah.
We, for instance, we want to be a transit country. We want corridors to cross Azerbaijan from east to west, north to south. Armenia, because of occupation, was deprived from that. There is no transit going across the country. So with Zangezur corridor, Armenia will get transit fees from transportation, and taking into account that the volumes of cargoes from Asia to Europe through Azerbaijan is growing year after year, I'm sure that the Zangezur corridor will be important transportation link which will connect the continents.
بما أنك تتحدث سيد الرئيس عن أهمية زانجيزور.
Mr. President, you have been speaking about the importance of Zangezur. Following the signing process, there are two teams, I mean Russian and Iran. I will start with Iranian. As far as I know, the Iranian president visited Azerbaijan. He has even Azerbaijani origin. He spoke here in Azerbaijani. For the time being, following these geopolitical changes, how do you see the relations between Azerbaijan and Iran?
Yes, you're right. President of Iran visited Azerbaijan. Actually, he visited Azerbaijan twice. First, on official visit, and second, he attended the summit of Economic Cooperation Organization in liberated Karabakh in the city of Khankandi. And we established very good working relations with him. Yes, you're absolutely right. He's Azerbaijani. He's the same blood as I am. We speak the same language. We don't need interpreters. And by the way, he knows Azerbaijani poems better than I do. And actually, he demonstrated here during one of the public events his knowledge about the Azerbaijani poetry, and he doesn't need any notes. He's a very talented person. So this is really a good opportunity, and I think our personal relations and relations between his administration and my administration are very constructive and very friendly. And with respect to official position of Iran towards the new development, we consider it as very reasonable and very positive. When I say official position, I mean the position of president and foreign minister. This is official position.
The other positioning?
Other? Well, we are basing our policy based on those politicians which have been elected by the people of Iran and which have a mandate to implement their duties, and these are president. There have been certain voices of some former officials which now are named like advisors. I don't know what kind of advisors they give. Immediately that reaction was very...
You talk about the advisors of the Murshid and
yes,
some other advisors.
Yes, yes. So this position for us is not important at all. It has zero importance to us because our interstate relations are between the governments, between the presidents, between foreign ministers. Therefore, we totally ignore these false narratives which have been articulated by so-called advisors. So for us, everything is clear. Position of president is absolutely reasonable and is based on the fact that Zangezur corridor is not in any way a threat to Iran. There have been a lot of rumors in some media, in some internet sites that Azerbaijan is planning to occupy Zangezur. Azerbaijan is planning to cut Iranian-Armenian border, and that was absolutely false. We didn't have such an intention. Again, if we wanted to do it, we would have done it. In November 2020, it was very easy to do, and throughout all these 5 years, it was very easy to do. It's only 40 kilometers.
Yeah.
Just from military point of view, it will take not much time. Just from both sides you come, from Nakhchivan and from mainland, and you take it.
Azerbaijan has the power, the military power to do it.
Of course, of course. And everybody knows it. And even those who give bad advices, they know it, that we have this power. We didn't do it because we are not aggressors. We are not country which occupies. We are people and country which liberates. That's what we've done.
Yeah.
And our war was a just war, was a liberation war.
No.
It was war on our soil, a war of restoration of justice. So from this point of view, I think that all these rumors that we were planning to cut Armenian-Iranian border now are absolutely groundless. Everybody knows that. By the way, during this 5 years' time, when Armenia was blocking the opening of Zangezur corridor, we agreed with the Iranian government, again, government to government, to build a bypass on Iranian territory. And it was called Araz corridor, by the name of the river Araz. So Azerbaijan already invests a lot of money in building the bridge over the Araz river to bypass Armenia. So if you look at the map, you'll see it's not difficult to do. You just come to the Armenian-Azerbaijani border and then make a turn to the left, build a bridge across the river, and go 40 kilometers on Iranian territory and then enter Nakhchivan again. So this project is already in the phase of implementation. So when corridors through Armenia is opened, so we will have two ways. we will have more opportunities to deliver cargo. One way through Iran, another way through Armenia. We also discussed with our Iranian colleagues from the government that there may be necessity to build a railroad on Iranian side of the river. If that happens, if Iran does it, then part of cargoes will go through Iran. And what is more important, which some advisors which give bad advices do not understand, this is not only between Azerbaijan and Azerbaijan, not only between East and West, but it is also between North and South.
ممر زنجزور هل سيؤثر على
Will the Zangezur affect the North Corridor in Iran?
هناك؟
No, it will only help. Because first, the North-South corridor, which originally was planned and designed, goes from Northern Europe, Russia, Azerbaijan, Iran, just straight line. If you look at the map, it goes on the territory of Azerbaijan, partly just by the shore of the Caspian Sea.
Will they meet at some point?
Now, yes. So this is an authentic North-South corridor, which is fully built on Azerbaijani territory. We have full railroad and highway connection between the Russian border and Iranian border. The missing part is on the territory of Iran. They need to build some 150 or more kilometers, but that will take time, maybe several years. What can happen with connection between North and South? It can go through Zangezur. Again, if you imagine the map, it can go from Northern Europe to Russia, to Azerbaijan, and then from Azerbaijan, it can go to Zangezur, enter Nakhchivan, and from Nakhchivan, we have a railroad connection with Iran. So actually, the Zangezur corridor will not only be east-west, but also north-south transportation corridor. And instead of one north-south route from Russia to Iran, Azerbaijan, Iran, we will have another one from Russia to Azerbaijan, Armenia, Nakhchivan, Iran. So it will be, I think, a win-win situation for the whole region, and there'll be no losers. And I know that Iranian government, coming back to your question, understands it, and Azerbaijan will do everything in order to strengthen regional cooperation between all the countries of the region.
روسيا بالجانب الآخر.
Currently, Russia, on the other side, as we know, there was a shooting down of Azerbaijani plane, and the relations are not the same. Will it be an attempt to revise the diplomatic relations?
وكيف تصف العلاقة اليوم بعدما كانت تعتبر جيدة؟
The shooting of Azerbaijani civilian plane by Russia and the reaction of Russian officials to that create a very big frustration and disappointment in Azerbaijan. First, this shooting shouldn't have happened in the first place, because when there are drone attacks on Russian airports, they announce the special regime. They call it a carpet, in Russian kovер, and all the planes get a signal that there is a drone attack, and they turn back. 2 weeks before that crash, the same happened with our plane, which was flying to the same Russian city, and they got this signal, so they turned back. This time, they did not give this signal. They gave the signal after the plane already was shot down. So they did it in order just to mislead those who would investigate. They shot it twice. Only professionalism and courage of the pilots made it possible for plane to land. And fortunately, it landed in Kazakhstan, not in Russia. If it landed in Russia, now, judging by how Russian investigation goes, I'm absolutely sure they would have tried to hide all the evidences.
Oh.
It landed in Kazakhstan, and there was a crash. Some people survived, and we have those who gave evidence. We have 2 people who were in the plane who were injured by the shrapnel which penetrated the fuselage. We have remainings of the plane, and immediately I sent the team. It's not far away, it's only 40 minutes flight. Immediately our team was there on the site, and they filmed everything. So you can find it on the internet. All the fuselage was in holes, shrapnel. And to say that that were birds or Ukrainian drone which hit the plane is absurd. It was damaged by Russian air defense system. We know which system, we know who gave the orders, we know the names of those people who are responsible for that, and we know those who want to cover up. So shooting the plane should have happened in the first place, but that was a tragic mistake. But behavior of Russian officials after that, this is unacceptable.
After all this, it's just a quick question. After all this attitude, I mean Russian attitude, are you afraid from any Russian movement in the area to stop what Azerbaijan is trying to do? I mean, on geographical level, on in the corridor and everything.
Well, they have their military base in Armenia with several thousand military personnel. At the same time, Armenian border with Iran and Turkey are protected by Russian border security. There is not a single Russian soldier on Azerbaijani soil.
Yes.
So what may happen in Armenia, I don't know. But I don't want to think about this negative scenario.
Yes. سأنتقل إلى الشرق الأوسط.
Let me switch to something else in the Middle East. You have also played a mediation role between Middle East and Israel. You are providing your support to bring natural gas to Syria. The current developments between Syria and Israel and steps that are made between them, to what point are you searching peace between Israel and Syria? Is there something promising between these 2 countries?
Well, I think that there are chances for normalization of relations between Israel and Syria. First, I'd like to come to your comments about natural gas to Syria. You know, we didn't have any relations with the government of President Assad for more than a decade. They treated Azerbaijan in a very unfair way. In our confrontation with Armenia, they took Armenian side, which for us was very strange, because we enjoyed a very strong support from Muslim countries during the years of occupation. And Islamic Cooperation Organization always supported us. So Azerbaijan is a country which highly values the principles of Islamic solidarity. So aligning with Armenia against Azerbaijan, aligning with a country which demolished mosques and kept pigs and cows in mosques, for us was unacceptable. So both sides, the team of President Assad and our team, cut all the contacts. So for more than a decade. So when the new government in Syria came to power, we were very enthusiastic about that, and definitely we supported that. And I had a meeting with Ahmed al-Shara in Turkey this April, and invited him to visit Azerbaijan, and he came on official visit. And we started to provide humanitarian assistance to Syria. I sent a big team to Syria, led by the Deputy Prime Minister, to see how we can be helpful, what we can do. We only want peace for this country, for these people who suffered for so many years. And we want that they live in peace and to see development there. So this started. And then the issue of shortage of electricity came to our attention, and we started to think how we can be helpful. And we had a trilateral and even quadrilateral arrangement between Azerbaijan, Syria, Turkey, and Qatar in order to help Syria with natural gas, to convert it into electricity. So the ceremony of the beginning of that process took place on the 2nd of August. Azerbaijani gas through Turkey is coming to Syria, and the Qatar government was so generous to provide funds for that. So far we agreed about 1.2 billion cubic meters of natural gas to Syria, but their demands are higher. So in the future we can increase the volume of gas so that they have less shortages. In the meantime, negotiations between officials from Israel and Syria took place with our mediation. We want peace around us. We, as a country and people who suffered from aggression, from war, we understand what it is to be refugee, what it is to be homeless, not to have gas, electricity, water, or food. So we actually became already for many years a donor country. We provide financial support, humanitarian support to almost 100 countries, 80 plus countries. So our goal was only to help to have normalization and to create a predictable situation between Israel and Syria. And if we helped a little bit, we are happy with that. We see that there is a potential for normalization, and that will bring additional elements of peace and predictability to the Middle East.
But Israel, they agreed on having this normalization while respecting the unity of Syria?
Yes, definitely. Azerbaijan, as a country which suffered from violation of territorial integrity, supports territorial integrity of all the countries. And our position on that is straightforward. And again, coming back to what we discussed about Azerbaijan-Russian relations, we, from the very first days of Russian invasion to Ukraine, supported Ukraine's territorial integrity and continue to support it. And of course, unity and territorial integrity of Syria is number one precondition for any kind of relationship. And not only legal unity and control of the boundaries, but physical unity. The country must have a centralized system, or at least a system which operates and functions with respect to political institutions. We are strongly against any forms of separatism, whether it was in Karabakh or in Syria or in any other place of the world.
So we understand that Azerbaijan under your leadership is playing an important role. So we understand that Azerbaijan under your leadership is playing an important role in the mediation. What about Turkey and Israel? Your mediation between these two countries, especially that we talk about the Kurd file there. What about the current mediation between Israel and Turkey?
Well, we are trying to be helpful when we see that there is a chance for normalization. And during the first stage of normalization between Turkey and Israel, Azerbaijani role was appreciated by both countries. And you know, there was a visit of Israeli president Isaac Herzog to Turkey, and so we were happy that two countries are now finding the common grounds. At the moment, relationship between Turkey and Israel are more tense than ever before. Therefore, if we are asked to step in, we will do it. If not, we will try just to use maybe some not very public diplomatic efforts in order to help to find a ground, because the most important is safety and security. We know very well the value of security. We've been at war in different forms of war for more than 30 years. So it makes you totally preoccupied with that.
No.
For me as a president for 17 years, since I became president until we liberated Karabakh, that was issue number 1, number 2, number 10. I was totally preoccupied then day and night. So it of course distracted not only me but the whole team from many other things which could have done maybe more faster and in a more efficient way. So any potential threat, any even hypothetical threat of physical confrontation is harmful.
Yeah.
It's harmful for people, for countries, for the economy, for the credit rating, for everything. So we are trying to provide, based on our experience, because we had experience of being occupied, we have experience of being a victorious country, we have experience being at war, and now we have experience how to reach peace. So we know how to do it. And also our diversified foreign policy directions also allows Azerbaijan to be in the middle of events, because not many countries today can talk in a very sincere way to those who are now in difficult terms. So we are ready to do it. We hope it will work. But of course, we don't want to impose ourselves on anyone. We just do what is necessary when we are asked for that.
فهمت رئيس يعني سأبقى
Currently in the Middle East, there is a big role played by Azerbaijan, and this role is measured by not only natural gas of Azerbaijan. The natural gas of Azerbaijan goes to European countries and to Eastern countries. Is it possible that natural gas from Azerbaijan can go to some Arabian countries like Egypt or any other country around Syria? And will it help the situation there in general?
With respect to energy, so yes, you're right. Our main destination for natural gas is Europe. We provide gas to 10 European countries. 8 of them are members of EU. So for these countries, Azerbaijani gas really plays important role in the energy security, and this role will grow. I already publicly announced our plans for the coming years. By 2030, we will have guaranteed additional 8 billion cubic meters of natural gas, plus to what we have today. And the question is how to use it, in which direction. And of course, entering Middle East with our natural resources is a first experience for us. We think that, as I already said, we can increase the volume of gas to Syria, and also we can provide gas supplies to other countries through Arabian gas pipeline or through other means, through swaps. Also, we are trading energy resources. We are not only selling our own oil and gas, but we are working as an international trader. So our potential is bigger than one can imagine. So from this point of view, I think it's an important factor. With respect to relationship with countries of Middle East, primarily with members of Gulf cooperation countries, are very good, very friendly, and very result-oriented. We have a very strong partnership with these countries, and by the way, our main investors in renewable energy are companies from UAE and Saudi Arabia. So they are our main investors. They already are investing now. And by the way, our renewable potential also should not be underestimated. By 2030 again, based on the signed contracts and investments from primarily UAE and Saudi Arabia and China, we plan to have 6 gigawatts of solar and wind energy. Plus, we are actively building the hydropower stations in Karabakh. Already almost 300 megawatts we already created. So this is important part of relationship between Azerbaijan and members of Gulf cooperation country, because we have fossil fuel, and also we work actively on renewables. And together we can do many good projects. By the way, ADNOC, very important energy company from UAE, became a shareholder of one of our biggest gas fields in the Caspian. At the same time, our state company, SOCAR, became a shareholder of one of the projects in oil development in UAE. We really are now in the active phase of working on a broad investment portfolio. Political relations are excellent, so we concentrate on practical investment projects in energy, and not only. In hospitality, in tourism, in agriculture, so many projects are in the pipeline. For instance, one of the leading company of Saudi Arabia was selected by us as a partner in building the desalination plant here on the Caspian shore, which will provide a lot of opportunities for agriculture and also for people. So this is a big part of our foreign policy agenda. I would say one of the main priorities of our foreign policy, cooperation with the countries of the Gulf.
And also, how are the relations between Azerbaijan and Arab countries? In addition, Mr. President, we think that your country is playing an important role in the regional process. Is there any step that can be taken by Azerbaijan to make good relations between the Sunni and Shia communities? Not necessarily inside of Azerbaijan, I'm talking in general.
Well, you know, in Azerbaijani society, Muslims of all faiths live as one family. And there was never any kind of division between different branches of Islam, I think.
Not here, in the area, I mean.
Yes, but for addressing...
To have it as a platform, like you are a mediator, and to have it as a platform of communication between them.
Absolutely, you're absolutely right, but this is based on our experience. It is based on not only slogans, not only statements, because there can be many statements, but you need to look to the core of the issue, to look how these issues are being addressed in Azerbaijan. For us, first is national ethnic identity. Second is citizenship, or maybe also the first is citizenship, along with ethnic identity. And this sectorial issue for absolute majority of Azerbaijan is absolutely nowhere, even not on the 100th place. And Azerbaijanis, they are, as an ethnic group, they consist of representatives of different branches of Islam, but we all are united by our ethnicity, by our language, and by our state. And not only Muslims, representatives of other religions in Azerbaijan, they feel the same. What we've done here during the period of independence was to strengthen these positive trends. And it's one of the few countries where Shia and Sunni Muslims pray at the same time, at the same mosque, and we do not divide. And we think that the biggest threat to Muslim world is sectorial division. And those who advocate for sectorial division do the most harmful thing to the Muslim world. We must be united. We are Muslims, and for us, this is number one. Absolutely free from any foreign interference, because we had not only advocate for these values, we also had to protect ourselves ideologically from any kinds of penetration, from any kinds of attempts to spread the seeds of hatred between the Muslims. So this is highly valued in the Muslim world. And my numerous meetings with the leading religious leaders of the Muslim world demonstrate that in Muslim world, in political spectrum or in religious spectrum, there is a high appreciation of our role. So we demonstrate that it is possible, and we demonstrate the success story, and we demonstrate that there is a peace, stability, and comfort. So this is what people need. The people need to live in peace, to raise their children, to live happily, to have jobs, not to be afraid that the bombs will fall on their head, or someone will put a bomb in your, neighborhood. So we do many things on intercultural dialogue. We have regular international conferences on intercultural dialogue every second year, where we address all these important issues, not only issues which are important for the Muslims, but for the all religions. From this point of view, our role is mainly based on what we have done here, and this how it can be done in other places. And I think that now in a political circle of absolute majority of Muslim countries, I have a lot of contact between the presidents. There is understanding that Muslims must be united, and sectarial division is a threat to our unity.
So you meet with the vision of Gulf country, peace for prosperity.
Exactly.
Yes. سيد الرئيس التقيت ب
Mr. President, you had a meeting with President Trump, and he's considered as an exceptional figure among American presidents. What impressed you the most during that meeting? Will you really nominate him for the Nobel Peace Prize?
Yes, exactly. Together with Armenian colleague, we nominated President Trump for Nobel Peace Prize. He really deserves it. As I said in my comments in Washington, in several months, he made a miracle in Africa, in Asia, in South Caucasus. And this is his character, this is his nature. He wants peace. He is a person which is absolutely different from a traditional image of Western leader. He is very friendly, he is very generous. He was so generous to give all his gifts, even more that was planned. He really was a person who deserves a lot of credit. That was my first meeting with him, and but my attitude to him as a politician was always positive. Even during his first term, though at that time we didn't have a chance to meet. And especially when he was deprived from being elected by the electoral fraud of deep state representatives. They stole his victory, And what he is saying about putting an end to mail-in ballot is absolutely right thing to do, because American administrations always like to lecture the whole world how to live, how to build democracy, how
That's so
to
true.
we all know that, how to address elections, but they themselves made the biggest election fraud against President Trump, depriving him from victory. So during that time when he was not a president, he behaved in a very decent manner. He demonstrated great courage and dignity, and to come back in America with all these frogs in the swamp, you know, like USID, Radio Liberty, fake news like Washington Post, New York Times, Wall Street Journal, Newsweek, all of them were against him. All of them were demonizing him the same way how they demonized me, for instance. Not maybe the same level, but the same way, spreading rumors.
هذا حصل that happened during Biden time when he insisted on keeping the 907.
Yes, exactly. Biden reimposed 907. 907 was lifted in 2001. Why? Because they needed us in Afghanistan. They needed our sky, they needed our sea, they needed the railroad. We provided very important support to American logistics and transportation. So as soon as Biden ran away from Afghanistan, they reimposed the sanction on us. So can you be so unthankful? What we would think about you, and we cut all the relations with them. With Biden administration, it was zero. It was a disaster. So Trump is absolutely different. He is a person which not only, I'm sure, will make America again great, he will make America again to be admired, as we all did in all times, when America was a symbol of prosperity, of freedom, of development. He will do it, I'm sure. If he managed in 6 months to bring peace to so many locations, he will do it, but he has a strong resistance. The system is against him. And also what I'd like to underline, especially what touched me, was how he behaved during that assassination attempt. That cannot be played. No speechwriter, no political advisor can do it. That's how the person reacts. He's a brave man and great leader, and I am proud, really proud, that he treats me as a friend.
Mr. President, let me conclude with my final question. Azerbaijan plays an important role among the Turkish-speaking states. How do you see this role, and how do you envision Azerbaijan's role in its region and neighborhood in the future?
Well, organization of Turkic states has great potential now. Azerbaijan was always straightforward in strengthening this institution. It started as a kind of a group of countries, as a consultative group, as a council, but then it transformed. So it has a great potential. And our close relations with Turkey, which are now based on alliance declaration, which we signed with President Erdogan in Shusha in 2021, which makes us military allies and political allies from legal point of view. It's an important factor not only for both countries, but for the whole Turkish world. Last year we signed the alliance agreement with Uzbekistan, and also with other members of Organization of Turkish States. We have strategic partnership agreements or declaration. So it's a big potential. We are united by our roots, which makes this organization unique. Because if you look at other international organizations, not all of them, or maybe I don't know which of them also is united by the common ethnic root. Yeah, we are different peoples, but we have all common, our roots coming from the Turkic ethnicity. We have growing population, which is also an important factor for every country. When it is supported by economic development, it is advantage. Sometimes it's disadvantage when countries are poor, but our countries, they are not poor. We have natural resources, not in every country, but in many. We have broad geography. Turkey is a leading military force on the global scale. In NATO, it's second army after United States. Azerbaijani army also demonstrated itself on the battlefield, not on parades. And connectivity. And when we talk about today about corridors, you cannot avoid us. You cannot. You should use us, our territories, our facilities. And also important is that in all members of organization, there is a political stability and friendly relations between each other and between all. So this is really makes organization unique. So we need to strengthen it. And we need to strengthen it by concrete projects, by investments, by energy, by transportation, by cultural projects. So I see in the future this organization as one of the important global actors. So our view is to transform it into a global actor which can play a role on international arena, which not only be preoccupied with our internal issues, but to play a stabilizing role on international arena, positive role, generating opportunities for the neighbors, and demonstrating that on such a huge geography, you can build a strong unity which is not a threat to anyone, but which is an opportunity to many.
Thank you, Mr. President. We are pleased to see you again. Thank you for giving us your time. Thank you for receiving us here in Baku. Mr. President, thank you very much. Dear viewers, with this, our special interview comes to an end. We had the honor of interviewing the President of Azerbaijan in the capital city of Baku.
شكرا لحسن المتابعة وإلى اللقاء.